are Geekcentric, and you can be too. Love ya. Get home safe, guys. Peace.
Welcome to the Geekcentric podcast, and welcome to another special Behind the Geeks episode from Marvel Television's Ironheart. My name is Nate, and if you're joining us for the first time, well, we are Geekcentric, a podcast celebrating the world of movies, TV shows, games, and all things Geekcentric. Today, I'm excited for this one because I got to have a lengthy discussion with yet another incredibly talented person behind Marvel Television's Ironheart. We spoke with Dara Taylor, who's the composer for Ironheart, and really got into, I think, one of the best aspects about this series, and that is the music behind it. Dara shares some really interesting facts and a bunch of like sonic Easter eggs, I guess you could call them, that really take you behind the production of things on, you know, in terms of scoring for Riri Williams, Natalie, Parker Robbins, and yes, that big reveal, which I'm going to hold off from going into in this opening section if you haven't watched the finale yet, but you totally should. You got to watch this show, watch the finale, try not to get spoiled. We get into the details. This series has been out for, the show has been out for about a week now in its totality. All 6 episodes are streaming now on Disney+. And this is actually Dara's first time getting the chance to share details about her music without being held back by spoilers. So it's a really fun conversation. We talk about the needle drops in this show. Bonsai Buddy comes up, if you know, you know, at one point. And she also shares a really touching detail of how she was able to embed herself and the memory of her father into the music for this show. So yeah, thank you so much to White Bear PR for setting up this conversation. It really was a treat. As someone like myself who loves music for all the geeky stuff we watch and all the details that go along with it, it was a delight. If you want to watch this interview and see our smiling faces and us laughing about White Lotus and Bonsai Buddy and Alanis Morissette, you can do so over on YouTube at youtube.com/geekcentric. Subscribe there as well, and you can also catch us on our socials at GeekcentricYT on Twitter. We are Geekcentric on Instagram and TikTok, where you can stay up to date in the moment to see what we're getting up to. Like, we've got some clips from our most recent red carpet with the director of Heads of State, Ilya Naishuller. Justin spoke to him in New York. There's also a one-on-one interview with him as well. They talk about the movie, his filmography, as well as what franchise he'd like to work in next. Plus, we also have a couple clips on our Instagram and TikTok of Justin having a brief conversation, asking a few questions with WWE legend and stand-up individual, the immensely talented and kind-hearted John Cena. So check out our socials for those moments. Justin actually asks him about his time in wrestling, how it's informed his time in Hollywood, and his response is just so lovely. We've also got a lot more happening in July as the Hot Geek Summer gets even hotter with coverage for Foundation Season 3, Marvel Studios' The Fantastic Four First Steps, and of course, Superman. So if you haven't already, be sure to follow us on all the things, subscribe on all the things. We'd be so stoked to have you join us along the way. But with all that said, please enjoy our interview with Ironheart composer Dara Taylor. Hey, Dara, my name is Nate. Thank you so much for taking the time to chat with me on the Geekcentric podcast. How are you doing?
I'm doing all right, Nate. Happy to be here.
Good. Happy to have you. Happy to talk about this fantastic series and your fantastic music within the series. I have to let you know, first off, I really enjoyed the vibes that you brought to the series through your music. I had the chance to speak with head writer for Ironheart, Shanaka Hodge, and executive producer Ryan Coogler. And I only had a short period of time to talk to them, but in that amount of time, I could tell that they really did put a lot of like themselves into this series. And listening to some other interviews that you've done, I can tell the same is true for you. So thank you for that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, they really put so much into this.
Yeah. And you know, I wanted to start off with a question. we've been interviewing a few more composers recently, which has been really nice. I'm a huge fan of music and a huge fan of Marvel music, and I wanted to start off with a question from one of my favorite composers, Michael Giacchino, who actually he was at D23 last year, and we had the chance to sit in on a panel that he ran with some of his fellow composers, and he asked them a very specific question, which I want to ask you to start things off, which is, if you could pick one TV or film score that you didn't work on that best represents you as a person, which one would it be?
Ooh, represents me as a person. It's not even like my musical voice, just like as a person.
Yeah.
I would say White Lotus.
Ooh.
Because it's a little quirky, it's a little irreverent. It's like they're doing bad things, but it was like, hey, we're grooving along, you know?
Yeah. Are we talking the original theme song version of? Because they changed it, right, for the new season.
They did. Well, they changed it each season. But yeah, the original, I guess, sure, the original version, but like, you know, just kind of the incidental music throughout, I think is just a lot of fun. And like, I don't know, like the show wants you to take it more seriously than the music does. And I think it kind of like diffuses the situation, which I think is a little bit of my personality. So
yeah, they always cut from those like awkward tension moments to like you almost hear like a whoop whoop whoop.
We're like, here we go.
It's very interesting. I adore that series. I always feel like that show is very much, it's almost like the most elevated version of reality television in a way, right? Where it's like there's so many moments, and the music is kind of the same idea, right? Where in a lot of reality TV shows you have like the like sort of stinger, like the like when somebody says something that's very cutting, and then it's kind of the same thing but again, elevated. Fantastic stuff. Now, I love how in Ironheart, the music in the show is very much a wonderful blend of your score, but also music from various artists. So to go from kind of a question about your favorite score, I want to move on to the other side of that. Let's say you, as Dara, let's say you've got Riri's suit on, and you're getting ready for your first flight. I don't know how you are with heights or what have you, but you need something to hype you up. What is that hype up song that you're going to?
Ooh, oh, that's good too. I don't know. I think it's got to be like some early 2000s angry chick rock, which I definitely enjoyed. So I think it's very funny that, you know, Alanis Morissette's You Ought to Know takes a very prevalent role. I definitely sang that song in my collegiate a cappella group. Shout out to After 8. But yeah, I mean, I just love the, you know, the holy trinity of like Fiona and Alanis and like Michelle and beauty.
I love it. What color would your suit be then? Are you gonna go like black, like rocker chick kind of?
I don't know, because it's like it's not, you know, it's not really my soul, but I enjoy it. It really revs me up.
There we go. Good to hear. Cool. Well, you know, I think as we start to get into talking about the music for this series, it's hard not to talk about some of the details for this show. So for anyone listening to this or watching this, all 6 episodes of Marvel Television's Ironheart are available to watch right now on Disney+, which means with them all released, we get to talk spoilers, so we will be discussing story elements. There will be spoilers in this discussion. So if you haven't watched all 6 episodes yet, be sure to do so. Then come right back. Trust me, you do not want to get spoiled on this show, and specifically the finale, which is so rewarding as an MCU fan and specifically as a fan of the MCU in the Disney Plus era, starting with WandaVision, but more on that later. Dara, to kick things off, I think the first thing I want to kind of get into is emotions. The music in this show certainly hits you in the feels a few times. For me, it was specifically in episode 5, the hologram, Riri, seeing herself as a little girl with her stepfather paired with your beautiful score, but you know, and that got me into like sad tears. But then you hit us with the back-to-back, and we get the moment with Brown Skin Girl by Leon Bridges getting me into happy tears, which works so well with Natalie's line of reminding Riri, you know, if you try to forget all the memories that make you sad, you wind up forgetting the ones that are worth remembering. And so in terms of emotion, I wanted to kind of ask, in your time composing, what's been your favorite emotion to score for? And are there any emotions that prove maybe more technically challenging than others?
Oh yeah, I mean, I'm glad you brought up that scene because it is also one of the most emotional scenes for me to do as well. Like, you know, one of the reasons why I connected so much with Riri is like, you know, she's dealing with the death of her father and like that grief. And like my dad died like 8 years ago now. And it's like, it's one of those things, it's like, oh man, I wish I could have told him. And like, you know, all of those things, all those feelings that you get with grief. And I'm like, how can I find a way to like bring him in here with me? And like, you know, I was very thankful to the music supervisors who picked that Gil Scott-Heron song in the first episode because that was one of my dad's favorite artists. But I'm like, oh, that's great. But then I guess I kind of took a beat from Xavier and I used some elements from the last voicemail my dad ever sent me. And I stretched them out and I made them into like a pad. And then that's what you kind of hear throughout that whole scene. Wow. So like that was my way of like bringing him here with me, you know? Wow. So that was, yeah. So like that scene in particular, like it means a lot to me. So I'm glad it hit you.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, there's so many emotions in this whole thing. And that was a lot of the fun of scoring it because I got to stretch all the different muscles and like, you know, the thing about the MCU that I love is also its cheekiness, you know? So I think there were so many moments where like, especially like moments with Zeke where you get to be kind of like extra cheeky.
Speaking of reality show characters, right? Like,
yeah, I know.
Kind of hits that a little bit, yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think as far as the most difficult, I mean, I guess it might be some of the emotion. I know we had a few conversations when we were, you know, first going through the spotting sessions, which is when I sit down with the producers and we talk about, you know, where the music comes in, where it comes out, and what the tone should be for each moment. In episode 5 in general, because we wanted to make sure that, like, in previous episodes, we were sad about Riri and her predicament. And in 5 is where she kind of gets her power back, even though she ironically loses some of it at the end. So, like, the challenge in that episode in particular was to make sure that the emotional moments still had hope in them. Yeah.
Well, I love that detail about using that voicemail from your dad and the... Like, you know, I think one of the coolest things about film and television and the ability to work within the industry is your ability to, as I mentioned at the top, like infuse parts of your life into it. And in I'm sure in a lot of ways outside of Ironheart, he will live on forever. But it's such a lovely thought that he's also going to live on through the music, through something you got to create in this show. So I think that's absolutely fantastic. And I've been listening to a little bit more of Gil Scott-Heron's music because of your connection to it and your dad's connection to it and this series. So thank you for that. Now, I want to get back to your score in a moment, but I wanted to kind of talk a little bit about the needle drops. You know, you've already mentioned a couple of them here. You mentioned that there's a group that you worked with. I was wondering, did you also have a lot of hand in picking, you know, what music to use, when to use it, and how did that work in terms of, okay, we've got to put this, you know, this song, this Leon song here specifically because it's going to hit differently than something that you might want to compose?
Yeah, I mean, well, we had 3 fantastic music supervisors on this show, Dave Jordan, Trika Tobin, and Martin Maiko. And they were the ones that were in charge of finding the songs and presenting the songs. So, like, you know, the decisions were made by them and the production team. But because we are all music, I was, you know, my score review sessions were at the same time as their song review sessions. So I got to be there and be like, I like this song if anyone cares. But very much very much an effort by all of them, and they were really great. I do remember like having some moments of like audible gasp when like you hear a few different options. You're like, oh, that one's good. The song that they choose at the end of episode 1 actually was one of those, because it was kind of woozy, like right after she falls over. And it was like, oh yeah, that's chef's kiss, as the kids say.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's so many wonderful needle drop moments that are very much foreshadowing, a big reveal that we will get to at some point in this conversation we have to talk about. But I wanted, you brought up Alanis Morissette. That You Ought to Know moment is so good, where they're just jamming out. And I think it's so great because it showcases the power of a good song. Like, you've got these two people that are kind of at odds with each other. They're really not wanting to be in the situation that they're in together, but they both are like, they can't help it. The song is too powerful. And so would you say that you mentioned like this, it was something that you were like, oh, please make sure this is included?
Well, that was actually already in there because it was on camera. So they had just made that decision before it got to me, because they were singing it. But I mean, at the end of our spotting session for that episode, there definitely was a moment where we're like, and then we're going to end with Alanis, right? Like, how can we not end with Alanis?
And he's just getting mad at his neighbor in that moment, right?
Yeah. But it's like one of those things where I'm like, okay, let me match the keys so it transitions better and those sorts of things.
So good. You already mentioned the use of that voicemail. I think I love when composers use different elements outside of just traditional instrumentation to create their scores. One of my other favorite composers, Ludwig Göransson, worked on the score for the film that introduced Riri Williams into the MC with Black Panther: Wakanda Forever. And he mentioned that he worked alongside musical archaeologists to uncover various Mayan instruments and musical practices for the sounds of Talocan featured in the film. For yourself, with this score, did you work with any maybe like unconventional instruments to further drive the immersion of the city of Chicago?
Yeah, well, one of the elements that you really hear, they're first introduced in episode 2. I decided to wait till episode 2 because that's when she kind of, that's when Natalie comes back, and that's when she starts to feel like herself again. Cool. But we use a lot of bucket drums, which was fun, because, you go through the streets of Chicago and you hear wind and you hear bucket drums, and the idea of the bucket drum itself is that, like, this is a thing that was not meant for this purpose, and it's scrappy, just as she is, and it's finding random junkyard parts to make a suit. So but it also, like, very much it speaks to Chicago. So I had a really fun session with 5 fantastic percussionists, one of which is actually the brother of Shanaka, who we didn't know, but our connection was not through Shanaka. It was through another percussionist friend of mine, and it was like one of those crazy serendipitous moments.
Yeah.
So
that's crazy, small world sort of situation. Wow. That's so cool. I wish I had known that when I talked to her.
Yeah.
Very cool, though. That's awesome. And I think even just bringing it like full circle in terms of like for the character of Riri Williams, and you mentioned the word scrappy and the idea of like this is something that is very specific to Chicago, but Chicago is so specific to the character of Riri. So it all works in tandem, and that's dope. I kind of want to keep on that subject in terms of talking about Riri Williams specifically, and I want to get into some character themes here. Starting with obviously Riri Williams, how would you describe the theme or themes for Miss Riri Williams?
Yeah, so she really has 2 themes that can work in tandem. She has her, her kind of melodic ba-da-da, ba-da-da-da theme that lets her shine during moments of heroism, and it also is able to be used emotionally because it's a longer, broader theme. But then there's this kind of interstitial thing that just goes ba-da-bum, ba-da-bum, bum, bum, ba-da-bum, which is like the badass Riri, as we started calling it, and that's just any time she's winning.
Dope.
And it could be winning physically, it could be winning mentally. Like, one of my favorite uses is not even like one of the most bombastic ones. It's when in episode 5 where the blood siblings shoot her and then the bubble surrounds them, and as she cheekily walks up and pushes the pushes the bullet through. It goes ba-da-bum, ba-da-bum, bum, bum, and then like So it's just like her, like, yeah, I bested them in one way or another.
I love that. I love that. I love that that cheekiness, and I love the idea too that like you weren't just focused on crafting just sort of a singular sound for Riri, but it was more in line with like sort of the multiple sides of her, right? The idea that she can be the hero in the suit, but she can be a hero outside of it as well, or kind of be her own person outside of just a big iron suit. I wanted to ask in terms of another character. I think maybe like I enjoyed Riri Williams very much in this show. I absolutely adored Natalie in this show.
Does.
Oh my gosh.
She's the heart and soul. She really is.
Oh, she did such a good job with the character and just with the role and I wanted to ask, was there anything that kind of got you excited in terms of getting to score music in and around her character? Did you involve any sort of I thought that I heard some sort of like very digital elements at times when it was surrounding her character. Is that fair to say?
Yeah. There are some digital elements. There are a couple of like kind of they don't happen very often. There are a couple of like kind of glitchy sounds that happen around her. But as much as there are vocals surrounding other characters we'll talk about later, there are, and those are all live vocals. These, for Natalie, there are, I use this, I used a patch that is kind of like a synthetic vocal that goes it just goes, or whatever.
Yes.
Doing a horrible job.
Some of those moments where Lyric is giving these really great like looks with her eyes and stuff like that. I think I heard a couple of that.
But they're like a synthetic vocal, and it's like they're if you wanted to say like, oh, that's a voice, like you could you recognize it as a voice, but there's still something digital about it. So it's like she's trying really hard to be human, but she's not quite there.
Yeah. I the digital voice thing, for some reason, like, I mean, there's a great sort of reference to Clippy in Ironheart with
I met Trevor. It was
Trevor.
Great.
Yeah, okay. You met Trevor.
Yeah.
Oh wow, how did you meet Trevor?
Oh, he's the husband of one of the post-production.
Oh, that's so cool. It just the digital voice thing brings me back to Bonsai Buddy. I don't know if you ever know.
Oh my god,
Bonsai Buddy, but that was very much a synthetic voice.
Whenever I hear that song, Daisy, 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 I think of that little gorilla.
So very, very interesting stuff.
Kids won't know.
Yeah, I mean, listen, we've come such a long way from Bonsai Buddy and Clippy, so I'm happy to have Natalie in our lives. Now, I wanted to kind of move to the other side of things here. Another character that gets very recognizable music for himself is Parker Robbins, a.k.a. The Hood. I love how narratively he's kind of this character that is split between three sort of, like the theme that follows him is split between our three sort of, I would almost go as far as to call them like the main pillars of this series, with himself, I think Ezekiel, and Riri, which is that sense of legacy and that sense of wanting to become more than what was before, to be iconic, but to also just still sort of elevate in a way and not necessarily be stuck with what was in the past, even though it does feel kind of like, as it's revealed, that Parker Robbins is very much stuck with his past. What was it like scoring for this character who's sort of blinded by his ambitions and he never really grows to understand who's pulling the strings?
Yeah, no, I love that about the legacy. Yeah, because like with Zeke, the legacy is like not trying to not be an asshole. Yeah, I mean, with Parker, at the beginning, we wanted to make sure we had to kind of talk about like the duality of him and, him as Parker Robbins and him as a Hood. It all starts with like this octave, which kind of goes, from high to low, but it's the same note. So that's kind of like the beginning of his theme, to kind of like show the duality there. But there are moments in it where it goes like ba-dum-bum, and then there's like a moment of silence, which to me is like when he is holding his breath and getting ready to do the next thing. So like there's these little breaths infused in it. But he also, his theme has a lot more swagger in the beginning than it does at the end, because like he's charismatic. and it's got like this like cool synth thing behind it, but as he as that starts to melt away and like the hood takes over, a lot of the coolness leaves too, and you just kind of get left with the evil.
I love that element of scoring, like almost making sure to have the moments of no sound in certain instances, right? If he is taking a breath, or if he is needing to kind of, like, because I think especially with that character, he is so, as you said, he's confident until he isn't. And so having the music match that, I think is fantastic. Okay, now I want to get to this guy. Speaking of the one pulling the strings,
Yes.
one of my favorite experiences as an MCU fan is also one of my most prolonged frustrations. And that's the experience of being strung along since WandaVision. The devil is in the details, Bev. Eric Voss over at New Rock Stars. I'm not sure if you've heard of the channel, but he got me onto the Mephisto train with his videos so early on. And I'm so, I think the MCU has had so many opportunities to bring him in. We've been teased so many times. Finally, we're here. The train has arrived. The Mephisto train has arrived. It's so incredibly exciting. For you, Dara, what was it like composing the first ever music for the MCU's version of Mephisto?
I'm like, wait, you want me to do what? Was my first thought. I'm like, wow, okay, all right, let's do this, because I know this character has been like longed for a very long time. So it's like beyond honor, kind of terrified, all of those things. Sure. But yeah, I mean, for his theme, and I'm so happy to be able to talk about this now that the show is done. Like you're the first interview that I've done after all the episodes have aired, so I can talk freely and not just be like, yeah, so
There's this thing that I did in, for sure. Fantastic.
But yeah, so Mephisto also kind of has two parts, and you actually start to hear his theme before he shows up on screen. You hear his theme in the first episode when they show the hood in the locker.
Oh, right, okay.
And there's this like little violin thing.
Yep.
Which is actually from a track called my French is terrible. I'm gonna try and find it again. It's from Faust, from Gounod's Faust, which they have lots of posters for. Behind Riri in a scene in episode 2. But it's a track from Faust, which is the whole story of the whole opera Faust is about someone making a deal with the devil, or Mephistopheles. Mm-hmm. So the track is called Le Vœu d'Or.
Le Vœu d'Or.
But it's this track where Mephistopheles is trying to convince Faust to go with him. So it's this kind of salesman's pitch.
Yeah.
So there's like a few notes you'll hear in the beginning, because the song goes and so I just took like those first few notes and let it kind of be like the introductory thing to him.
That's so cool.
And so you hear it kind of throughout anytime we're really talking about the hood, and then when Mephisto first shows up on screen, and then also when he says his name. But there are a few other elements, like there's also a melody that goes ba-da-da-da-dum, ba-da-da-da-dum, which is kind of like this gothic thing, and that was one thing that I when I first showed my version of the theme to the producers, they're like, yeah, can we make it even more gothic? So I'm like, all right, that's when you have like your big leaps and all of that. Mm-hmm. In addition, there's a lot of vocal elements to his theme. There are some whispers. Now, there are also a lot of whispers within like the production sound and the sound designers. I don't want to steal their thunder. There are a couple of whispers that you'll hear if you're really listening for them within the fabric of the score. And I got to tell this professional choir in Australia to just say something you won't even miss, which is like the thing that he says to Parker in it's like, oh, what will it take? Something you won't even miss. So I had them say that over and over again, having no idea why, and then I reversed it. So
that's so cool.
But then there are also these. I've just been dying to talk about this.
Yeah, talk away.
But then there's also a lot of like kind of guttural chanting sounds. So I also got to make this choir. They were so game to do anything. Just go over and over again.
The power you wield, like Mephisto.
I know. I got they sing notes too, I swear. But
yes,
but just to kind of have this kind of pagan, almost like Stravinsky Rite of Spring feel to it. So I just wanted to feel old. That's my succinct version of saying it.
No, amazing. It's again, it is one of those things where it's like, I think it is a very much a fan service thing, but it's done so well at the same time, and I think that's very much appreciated as an MCU fan is when there's actual like quality, and it's not just like we're doing this because you want it. It's we're doing it on our own time, and it's going to be fantastic, and it really is. It is the last 15 minutes or 10 minutes or however long it is. It's my favorite of the entire series is that moment, the way it's structured, the way it's shot, every little element to it, but very much so with your music, it does elevate it quite a bit, and I think that's so cool that you got to be a part of the reveal for this character. And hopefully,
and Sacha Baron Cohen is like perfection.
He killed it. He killed it. The little moment with the spoon, where you see, oh my! I paused it. I was like, wait, I gotta zoom in here. What? It's so cool. Very, very cool. Do you think you'll if the opportunity arises in the future, you'll get to craft more music for Mephisto for Riri Williams?
I mean, from your mouth to Kevin Feige's ears, I would love to.
Yeah. Very cool. Listen, all these details have been fantastic. I'm gonna kind of get to my last question here, but I think we're the Geekcentric podcast. We get excited for little Easter eggs. You've already shared quite a few really cool elements. The Faust of it all. Like I knew that was an element of foreshadowing when I saw it, but I didn't realize that it was in the music as well. No. It's so cool. I think I loved seeing Scott Lang's book picked up by Riri. I love seeing the dumb E-arms in the White Castle at a certain point from the original Iron Man. They're just putting burgers together. She's fighting around them. And so we're always looking for Easter eggs in the stuff we enjoy. I mean, you've already let me know so many, so I if no fault of your own if there aren't any more, but are there any more or any specific Easter eggs that you were stoked, maybe like specifically sonically, that you were able to infuse into your score for this for this series?
Okay. One other thing. So the Zeke Stain, his theme has a lot of kind of like low piano, like and in the original Iron Man score that Ramin did, it's not melodically similar, but there is a lot of kind of like low, like smashy piano in the Ironmonger thing, which is actually a thing, which is actually a track that Seb O'Harian sent me pretty early on. He's like, oh, where can we find some a tie between the Ironmonger and Zeke's character? So I listened through a few times, like, okay, I think like the use of piano, and especially like kind of low staccato piano might just like be enough to tie us together.
That's so cool. And again, it all goes back to that concept of legacy and how, even in ways that the character of Zeke isn't aware of, he's still tied back to his father. So, Dara, thank you again so much for this chat. This has been delightful. I love getting to talk to you about the Mephisto of it all. I'm happy we got to finally. It feels like that might have been a little bit pent up for you. So I love all the details. Love all the details you shared. I love the energy that you brought to this series through the music, and I look forward to wherever we might hear your music next, and hopefully, again, Kevin, if you're listening, within the MCU. So thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Nate. This has been fun.